This is Taking Stock on Bloomberg. I'm Pimm Fox. Fortress Paper, it's an international paper producer with three distinct businesses. Dissolving pulp, we'll tell you what it goes into, specialty papers, and finally, security paper products. This includes making paper for banknotes, passports, and visas. Joining me now for a deeper look at the company and how it's performing, we've got the chief executive of Fortress Paper, Chad Wasilenkov. Chad, good to have you with us. Thanks for coming in. I start off by saying, the stock was $40 a share. It's going back about 8 months ago. Now down about 14. What happened in that period of time? There was something going on with a mill in Quebec. What was the status? What went on?
Yeah, corporately, we've been achieving all our targets. We're progressing nicely. And we feel the company is actually a much stronger and better company than 8 months ago, as you said, when the stock was quite a bit higher. What we're seeing, what we're feeling is, the risk trade is off. We are a growth company, so most of our cash flow is in the future as we buy mills, retrofit them, make new high-margin products, go from high-cost mills that basically went bankrupt, and we're picking them up at pennies on the dollar, to a future that looks bright and prosperous. But again, that's forward-looking, and no one's really paying up for growth right now.
What was the challenge in Quebec specifically with this one particular mill?
That would be our most recent acquisition. There were some inklings in the market and the media. Some of the politicians had started talking about it, so people were aware that we were definitely working on this acquisition. It took 2 years to close, but it's a $1 billion asset. The previous owner had shut it down about 6 years ago. It had gone bankrupt. It was a high-cost producer, making the wrong product. But right before they did that, over the preceding few years, they spent about $500 million upgrading and retrofitting this mill. We were able to acquire it for $1. The reason is there were quite substantial environmental problems, which obviously as a board member, I would not want to be involved in or touch. So it took the provincial government of Quebec up in Canada to change some of the legislation, to change certain things that needed to go on in order for the government to buy all the land, take on the bulk of the environmental liability, but then we could buy the assets. So we have unconditional, unfettered, unrestricted use of the equipment, but we never touched the environment. So it took 2 years, but it's behind us now. We've got a $200 million retrofit going on, and the positive cash flow from that will be in approximately 2 years.
What are you going to do with the output from that mill?
So previously it was making a paper pulp type of product with very low margins and difficult to make much money these days. We will now convert it to make dissolving pulp, which is a chemical cellulose. So we do a lot more refining of the product. Then this product gets shipped to China or India and goes into things like viscose or rayon, which is a substitute for cotton. Or it can go into every LCD screen, has high modulus strength rayon in it, run flat tires, pharmaceutical capsules, so all kinds of different products. But the margins are much, much better. Regular paper pulp is in and around $900, and it bounces around a little bit. Our product sells for around $1,100, and some of the even more specialized products can sell for $1,700 a ton. So really expands the margins and better use of these assets.
What about the output in terms of it being spoken for? Do you have contracts already?
Yeah, so we've already contracted 78% of our capacity for 5- and 10-year contracts with floor pricing, some of it at the $1,000 floor and some at $1,200 floor pricing.
All right, let's talk about making visas, making passports, paper products, but they have special security features. Tell me about that business.
Yeah, so we acquired a mill back in 2006, located just outside of Zurich in Switzerland, specializing in banknotes. When we bought it, it was doing 900 tons of banknotes per year. We've gone through major expansion programs. We now do approximately 10,000 tons per year, so a tenfold increase. We do all the Swiss francs, and we're the sole manufacturer for them. We do up to 10 Euro countries per year. We do visas, as you mentioned, passports for numerous countries around the world. Again, it's a very high margin business. It has significant barriers to entry. Regular paper that people might have on their desk is $600, $700, $800 a ton. We sell our highest end banknote for $65,000 a ton.
$65,000 a ton?
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
To make money.
A lot of security features, and again, not every country would be willing to pay up for that and is not demanding or requiring that much security. But again, as the price gets higher, obviously the margins get better.
Got to ask you whether anyone's come to you to ask you to make some drachmas.
Unfortunately, we're not at liberty to say, but it's a very interesting time in the Eurozone, and we have some unique insight dealing with the different national banks and seeing what steps they take to obviously prepare for the worst case scenario. Because again, a national bank in general is very risk averse. So.
Now, you mentioned the ability of you taking over these ailing mills. You've done it multiple times. Any plans to do that again, or you're happy with the assets that you've got?
No, we're definitely not satisfied. We want to continue to grow. We've got our eye on a few other targets. The forestry sector is has some great opportunity. It's been out of favor. There's been a huge loss of investor confidence, and that's due to all the restructuring that's gone on. A lot of commodity-type mills making newspaper, making directory papers. Again, they just don't have a great future, so investors aren't looking there. But there's always these niche specialty product mills that meet our criteria, high barriers to entry, great growth prospects. What they require is some growth capital, and again, just refocus these assets onto making better products.
I want to thank you very much for joining us, the Chief Executive of Fortress Paper, Chad Wasilenkov. Thanks very much for spending time. Appreciate it. I'm going to find out about those drachmas.